Hey everyone, I'm 17-year-old writer Noah Barfield, author of that incredible, amazing action fantasy novel Legendland, which should be out soon, so yes! Now, this is Writer's Corner. Thank you for joining me today. It also happens to be the first Writer's Corner of the new year. To celebrate, I've done a couple things. One, I'm currently rocking my new tie, stylized with the Eldridge knot, which is an Edgar Allan Poe The Raven tie that is beautiful and amazing. It makes me look very stylish, so I love it very much. Two, to represent the freshness and new beginnings of this new year, I decided to represent that with the topic of this week, creating new characters. Get it? New beginnings, new year, new characters. You're all smart people, you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, I think I'm just gonna jump right into this then. So, alright, here we go! Point 1. Whenever creating new characters, you don't need to introduce them and describe them all at once. By that, I don't mean that you don't need to introduce all your characters at one time. I'm pretty sure we all know you shouldn't do that. Though I'm also pretty sure there are certain circumstances or unique situations or stories where that's okay, but I don't know any of them. So if you do, please by all means share. But moving on. What I'm saying is you don't need to do the following. I noticed that the boy just introduced, Fred, was a pale, small child with a freckled complexion and sandy brown hair, wearing cargo shorts and a gray shirt that didn't really match, but seemed to represent his kind, oddball, geeky, unique personality. No. No, 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 no. No. You are not filling out a police report for this person so that they can manhunt them. You are not filling out a physical description section of your character sheet for an RPG. No, 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 no. Making a new character, introducing them, and creating them is kind of like making a puzzle, filling it in piece by piece. It's probably going to take a while. That's okay. We as humans, whenever we notice a new person, we kind of take a quick picture with our brain of them, and then we sort through it and decide, hey, this is interesting, and that's pretty unique, so those are the things I'm going to notice about a person. Meaning that, oh yeah, they are actually wearing pants, but I didn't notice that because their hair looked like springs, and I was wondering if I could bounce something off of it. That's okay, that's what we do as humans. If your character is going to be more realistic, then whatever character is observing your new one should see one or two, maybe just a couple different things that are unique to that character that stick out, and then through that new character's actions and dialogue, you can start to fill out their personality, and with also vague descriptors that can get more and more specialized and unique as the character grows. By the end of however long the character's been in the story, we should know who they are, what they look like, and a rough kind of a sketch of their personality at least. So yeah, you need to be able to do that, but not all in one paragraph. Now moving on to point 2. And I've said this. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. It's a question you need to ask yourself that is very, very important. When creating a new character, ask yourself, is this character necessary? If you don't know if they're necessary, ask yourself the following question. Can I use an already existing character to fill in the spot that I would create this new character to fill? If so, then continue on to ask yourself these questions. Would doing so disrupt the story so it looked like a train wreck and I needed to restart? No. Would doing this make my character seem just out of sorts and that's something that I would need to correct and or permanently delete forever? No. Then please use the already existing character. And that same line, if you have multiple characters basically filling in the same spot over and over, combine them into one character that can fill in that one spot that you need them to fill in, but also reducing the clutter in your story so people can focus on the characters that really matter. Now, moving on to point 3, make sure that you have at least a vague backstory, at minimum, of what your character, just your new character. You need to know a bit about them beforehand before you introduce them. I'm not saying the reader does. You can leave them completely in the dark. That's fine. It'll probably be really fun in a sick, twisted sort of way. But you, at least, as the writer, need to know a bit about the backstory of this character so you have some depth that you can build on that's already kind of pre-stored in there for you to draw from. Oh, you know, this character's starting to get boring. they have a troubled past that you already have whipped up and just ready to use, that you can make them a lot more interesting and drive the story and their own personal character arc forward. It's really helpful to at least know a bit about their backstory before you just throw them out there and basically feed them to the readers as chop. Now, point 4, ask yourself this, and please ask yourself this. It's really important before you create a new character. What is their purpose? I realize that this is akin to basically questioning and screaming at the sky, "What is my purpose in life?" Well, that's what you need to do with your new character. You have godly writer powers. You are their god. You are their supreme being. Exercise those rights and give that character a purpose. Now, that character's purpose can be to die. I mean, that's sad, but that can be your character's purpose. Just know that going in before you get halfway through the book and you realize, oh crap, this character basically has no purpose and I either need to give them one really quickly or remove them from the story. You need to make sure they have a purpose beforehand, even if that purpose is something as trivial as dying. I mean, death isn't trivial, but I mean, in the grand scheme of your story, it could be. It could be a meaningless, pointless death that only affects 1 or 2 characters. Whatever. But they need to have a point. They need to have a purpose to them that may not be obvious. It doesn't have to be obvious. It doesn't have to be spelled out for the reader, but you at least need to know it. Now, point 5, make sure that whenever you do introduce a character, once you know that they're necessary, you know their purpose, you have a little bit of backstory for them and things to draw off of, and you've introduced them slowly and not all at once, make sure you actually introduce them in relation to their importance. That doesn't mean that you have basically the male girl, and you're just like, the shadow creeps slowly forward, this fear building up slowly, a crescendo of violence and evil dealt down by Susie. No, Susie is the male girl. Unless you're really twisting things around, introduce characters in relation to their importance. That means if your character isn't an important character, don't make them seem like it if it doesn't actually serve a purpose. I mean, you can trick your readers into thinking this person is going to be the villain or the antagonist, whereas this person is going to be the protagonist, or this person's actually important, in which case they're just going to die, and you're going to show everyone how meaningless life really is in your story, or whatever it is you're going to do. It needs to serve a purpose just like your characters do, so how you introduce them is really important. If they're an important character, make it seem that way. Don't just introduce them as, oh, this character is in here, but bam, they're the savior of the world. You don't need to do that. Final point here. Point 6. The last one. If your character is going to die, plan it. If you've decided their purpose, their eventual purpose is going to die, plan it from the beginning. I've talked about it before. I've devoted an entire video to it. But it's important. When creating a new character, know how they're going to die. As you give them life, know how you're going to take it away like a mean, cruel, supreme being and just rip it from their jaws and their life force is in your hand. Know when you're going to do that, so that way you can plan and prepare for it. That's basically it. I mean, there are a lot of different things you can do when creating new characters, and there are probably a ton of different little helpful suggestions and questions you should ask yourself that I haven't covered. But these are things that I feel really help just cover it in a very general way from the beginning to the end. Now, if you have your own tips, suggestions, or advice you'd like to give or to receive, please feel free to contact me at my website, www.arc-storm.com, or just leave a comment below because I like it when people do that. It makes it kind of easy. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I like when people subscribe. I really like it. Also, just thanks for watching. This has been Writer's Corner. And next week, I plan on continuing my villains series and all the different stuff about villains because I enjoy them so much. Now, this has been Writer's Corner. I hope it's been helpful. Thank you for watching and continue to enjoy.